Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of News Tonight. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation in his address, Mann Ki Baat, as usual, in which he talked about a host of issues. We'll get you all the details. Also, eminent people have urged the president to reconsider Yaqub Menon's mercy plea. We'll get you all the updates. But first up, the headlines. Prime Minister addresses Mann Ki Baat, pays tributes to Kargil martyrs, flags cashless treatment for accident victims. On Kargil Vijay Divas, hundreds of former servicemen organized marathon in Delhi, demand implementation of one rank, one pension scheme. Ahead of assembly elections, RJD Chief Lalu Prasad calls for statewide Bandh in Bihar to protest against centre's failure to release caste-based census. Cutting across party lines, leaders submit petition to President Pranab Mukherjee seeking mercy for Mumbai blast convict Yaqub Menon. And Aviation Ministry plans curbs on unregulated airfare, mechanism likely to be finalized in a month after consultations. Well, the top story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi devoted his Mann Ki Baat as usual to a host of issues ranging from road safety measures to the successes of MyGov initiative of the government. Now, Sunday also marked the 10th edition of the monthly radio program. Here are the details.
Kargil martyrs were the opening topic of the Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat radio address on Sunday. He also focused on the state of agriculture and farmers while allaying fears of a below normal monsoon.
इस वर्ष बारिश की अच्छी शुरुआत हुई है। हमारे किसान भाइयों बहनों को खरीफ की बुआई करने में अवश्य मदद मिलेगी।
Expressing concern at the increase in road accidents across the country, the Prime Minister announced the government will soon unveil a cashless treatment policy for victims in select cities along national highways. Modi also devoted time to invite suggestions for his forthcoming Independence Day speech.
अपने बच्चों को चाहे टू व्हीलर चलाते हो या फोर व्हीलर चलाते हो, सेफ्टी की जितनी बातें हैं उस पर जरूर ध्यान देने का माहौल परिवार में भी बनाना चाहिए।
Paying tribute to martyrs on Kargil Vijay Divas, the Prime Minister mentioned hardships faced by their families, saying they too were fighting a battle.
26 जुलाई हमारे देश के इतिहास में कारगिल विजय दिवस के रूप में अंकित है। देश के किसान का नाता जमीन से जितना है उतना ही देश के जवान का भी है। अपने प्राणों की परवाह न करके दुश्मनों की कोशिशों को नाकाम करने वाले उन वीर सैनिकों को शत शत नमन करता हूं।
Sunday marked the 16th anniversary of the Kargil conflict when Indian troops mounted a heroic campaign in 1999 to evict hundreds of Pakistani soldiers from the strategic heights of the line of control in Kashmir. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And ex-servicemen have intensified their protest demanding implementation of the one rank, one pension scheme. And it got a fillip on Sunday with another former army man and activist Anna Hazare joining them at Delhi's Jantar Mantar. Now, he has threatened to launch another indefinite fast from 2nd of October if the demands are not met. On the Kargil Vijay Divas, hundreds of ex-servicemen organized a marathon in Delhi to reiterate their demand for implementation of the one rank, one pension scheme. It seeks to ensure that a uniform pension is paid to defence personnel who retire at the same rank with the same length of service.
Jai Jawan! Jai Jawan!
The delay in implementing this long-awaited scheme has drawn activist Anna Hazare back to Jantar Mantar. Being a former army man, he criticized the centre's way of treating ex-servicemen.
रघुकुल रीत सदा चली आई, प्राण जाए पर वचन न जाए, वचन को मत जाए। अगर आपने वचन छोड़ दिया तो आपको बहुत बड़ी हानि होगी।
Anna Hazare has also threatened another indefinite fast from 2nd of October this year, setting a deadline of 2 months for the government to implement the scheme.
2 महीना में हम पूरे देश में घूमेंगे पूरे जवानों को, पूरी जनता को जगाएंगे और 2 अक्टूबर गांधी जयंती और लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जयंती के दिन फिर एक बार रामलीला में जो आंदोलन करेंगे।
Protesting ex-servicemen also vowed to carry on their agitation till the demands are met.
हमको आश्वासन सितंबर 2013 में रेवाड़ी में मोदी साहब ने दिया था। उन्होंने कहा था कि अगर मैं प्रधानमंत्री बन गया तो 40 दिन के अंदर 1 रैंक 1 पेंशन लागू कर दूंगा। अभी 440 दिन से ऊपर हो गए हैं। हमारे 1 रैंक 1 पेंशन को इन्होंने परिभाषा को ही जटिल बना दिया।
जब तक हमें OROP जो लिखित में नहीं आ जाएगा, हम यहाँ से उठेंगे नहीं।
The government has earlier said that it was committed to OROP and has set aside 8,300 crore rupees for its implementation, but has refused to specify a time frame. Meetings between the ex-servicemen and the defence minister have so far been inconclusive, leading to resentments. With inputs from Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. A news from poll-bound state of Bihar, where the political battle has intensified a day after Prime Minister Narendra Modi's rally in Muzaffarpur. While Chief Minister Nitish Kumar retorted to some of the remarks made by Modi in his speech, ally RJD's chief Lalu Prasad launched a protest demanding release of the caste census. Now, he has also called for a shutdown in the state on Monday over the issue.
RJD chief Lalu Prasad called for a statewide ban to protest against the centre's failure to release the caste-based census. Lalu and his supporters fasted at the Gandhi Maidan in Patna on Sunday over the demands. He claimed that the real numbers of SC and ST have increased 3 times over since the last census report on caste.
भारतीय जनगणना पिछड़ों दलितों अकलियत के सबके हक को दबा के गला रखा और उसके खिलाफ जंग जहाद मंडल कमंडल के खिलाफ मंडल का अब ये टमटम रथ निकल चुका है।
Lalu's protest comes a day after Prime Minister's rally in Muzaffarpur, where he sought to reach out to the Yadav community. He has also slammed RJD and JDU, who are allied to take on BJP in the upcoming state assembly polls. The caste factor is expected to play a major role when the polls will be held in a few months. Political jibes have already begun.
हम वो जदवंशी हैं, हमारे लोग वो जदवंशी हैं, 1 इंच भी जमीन हम नहीं देंगे, हम महाभारत करेंगे, हम वो जदवंशी हैं।
बिहार के लोगों ने तो सेवा का मौका दे ही दिया, और सेवा का मौका दिया उसका परिणाम यही है कि अब तक बिहार के लिए कुछ किया नहीं, कोई नई बात नहीं हुई है, पहले वाली सारी पुरानी बात है।
नीतीश कुमार जी को लगता है कि बिहार की जनता पर भरोसा उठ गया है और इसीलिए वो जोड़ तोड़ की राजनीति करके लालू जी भी देख लिए और कहाँ गए और कहाँ रहे, और ये भी अपना देख लें। आज तक गठबंधन हुआ, एक पोस्टर पर दोनों का चेहरा न दिख रहा हो तो ऐसे गठबंधन को क्या कहा जाएगा?
Meanwhile, BJP MP Shatrughan Sinha downplayed his meeting with Nitish on Saturday. He ruled out any political angle to the meeting, rejecting speculations that he is cozying up to the ruling JDU. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in the other big story, leaders cutting across party lines have submitted a fresh petition to President Pranab Mukherjee requesting him to waive off the death sentence of Mumbai blast convict Yaqub Memon. The petition claims that there are substantive and fresh grounds that can be considered for mercy. The petition comes a day before the Supreme Court hears Memon's mercy plea. Politicians, eminent jurists, and prominent filmmakers and actors have signed a petition seeking mercy for Mumbai blast convict Yaqub Memon. He is scheduled to be executed 4 days from now on his 54th birthday. In the 15-page petition, the signatories have cited various legal points and international commitments to argue that Memon should not be hanged. The list of signatories include BJP's Shatrughan Sinha, Congress's Manishankar Iyer, CPM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri.
He is part of a conspiracy of the Bombay blast and therefore he should be punished. We think that this all death penalty issue should be converted into life imprisonment.
22 साल जेल में रह चुका है और रहने के बाद सो डबल पनिशमेंट हो रही है, कैपिटल पनिशमेंट भी हो रही है और लाइफ इम्प्रिजमेंट भी हो रही है। तो अगर ह्यूमन इमोशंस के आधार पे अगर लोगों ने मर्सी पिटीशन भी प्रेसिडेंट को किया है तो ये कोई सरकार और कानून के खिलाफ बात नहीं।
इस बात से सहमत हूं कि इसके ऊपर दोबारा विचार होना चाहिए। इस इंसान ने बहुत मदद की है, तो देश को भी चाहिए कि उसका एहसान माने।
However, BJP has termed the ongoing row over the death penalty as petty politics. It has reiterated that the decision was taken after a thorough legal process.
प्रत्येक हिंदुस्तानी को, प्रत्येक राजनीति से संपर्क रखे हुए व्यक्ति को ये चाहिए कि वो सर्वोच्च न्यायालय का सम्मान करे और जो सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने वर्डिक्ट दिया है कभी भी उस पर हम ऐसी टिप्पणी ना करें जिससे भारतवर्ष में एक अच्छा भाव नहीं जाता है।
On 23rd of June, the Supreme Court had dismissed the curative petition of Memon, clearing the decks for his hanging. 2 days later, Memon moved the Supreme Court, seeking stay of execution of his death sentence. The court will hear his plea on Monday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. All right, in news tonight, we'll take a very short break. Coming up ahead, Army launches massive rescue efforts after landslides and flash floods in Jammu and Kashmir. Details to follow. Stay with us.
This week we are in the southern state of Karnataka. Let's meet Siddaramaiah this time. Are you very strict?
I am not very harsh on officers.
Mr. Siddaramaiah is an atheist.
I am not atheist. Every day I am not doing puja. I am not going to the temples frequently. I prefer always country chicken. So far I have not given any gift to my wife. You suggest me what I should give. Like this. Watch me in It's My Life on Rajya Sabha TV.
Get live Rajya Sabha session, news, views, reports and analysis you can trust on social media. Subscribe, follow, like Rajya Sabha Television.
Welcome back after the break. Now news from Jammu and Kashmir, where the army has launched a massive operation to evacuate people and clear roads after landslides were triggered by cloudbursts in Jammu and Kashmir. Now there were multiple cloudbursts and heavy rains over the weekend in Poonch, Sonmarg and Zojila districts, in which 3 people died. The Srinagar-Ladakh highway and the Baltak road for Amarnath pilgrims got washed away at many places, leading to massive blockages and traffic disruptions. Meanwhile, the flood situation remains critical in central Madhya Pradesh. Water levels at major rivers and their tributaries has risen alarmingly in several areas of the state. The Met Office has predicted very heavy rains for the next 2 days in the western states and Odisha and West Bengal, triggering fears of flood.
मकान डैमेज हो गए हैं, दुकानें डैमेज हो गई हैं, ज़मीनें लोगों की जनाब अली जो हैं बह गई हैं। अचानक ये नाला आया, किसी को पता नहीं, दुनिया सोई हुई थी रात को। तो उसके साथ साथ यहाँ आर्मी का हमारा कैंप था, तो आर्मी का भी बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान हो गया है जी।
हम तो महाराष्ट्र से आए, केदारनाथ जा रहे थे। कल 5:30 बजे शाम को ये सब बारिश वगैरह चालू हो गई। जब से ये ऊपर से सब ये तो पत्थर वित्तर नीचे आने हो गए, तो रास्ता बंद हो गया है कल से।
Now, the Civil Aviation Ministry is planning steps to curb unregulated airfare. The mechanism is likely to be finalized in a month after consultations with various stakeholders. The move comes against the backdrop of rising concerns expressed in various quarters, including by the parliamentarians, over steep fluctuations in the prices of tickets. For years, air travellers in India have paid through their nose for last-minute tickets. Prices often skyrocket during peak travel seasons and hit rock bottom in lean periods. But that could change soon. Making a case for the capping of economy class fares, Minister of State for Civil Aviation Mahesh Sharma has emphasized that the efforts would be made with a consensus among airlines through aviation regulator DGCA.
It is under discussion. No decision has been taken that yes, we propose to. It's a matter of discussion with the ministry level that predatory prices should be curbed. In what best manner? We have three options. One option is we call the meetings of all the airlines and take their consent. Second thing is our regulator, the DGCA. Third thing, we have the Air India with us, which becomes as a regulating authority.
Cutting across party lines, parliamentarians feel that currently there is no transparent mechanism to regulate airfares. Even the benefit of reduction in the price of aviation turbine fuel has not been passed on to the passengers.
Or somebody is charging too high, which is very unreasonable because they're taking advantage of a particular situation or a monopoly on a certain route. That power is certainly with the DGCA, and the government should ask the DGCA to examine it in the right perspective.
There must be some regulatory mechanism. Private airlines, they operate as though they are having absolute autonomy and they can decide whatever they want to decide.
इस तरह बाकायदा खुला बिजनेस करते हैं, उसको मैं तो ब्लैकमेलिंग कहता हूँ. इसमें स्थायित्व आना चाहिए.
The Director General of Civil Aviation is empowered under the Aircraft Rules 1937 to intervene if operators establish excessive tariffs. The decision is likely to give breather to air travellers in distress. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV. Now, last week, the Supreme Court asked the state governments as to why they were flouting its order in insisting that people show their Aadhaar cards to avail social welfare benefits. So let's take a look at why the government defended the validity of Aadhaar, even as it assured the court that it was actually not making the card mandatory for public services. The centre is banking on the Digital India programme to plug leakages in India's welfare programmes. And the best way to do this, it feels, is to link beneficiaries of public distribution schemes with Aadhaar numbers. Accordingly, it is asking state governments to seed databases of ration card holders with Aadhaar numbers.
2012, when government said that 27 rupees is the cutoff for BPL, there was a great deal of agitation. And government was forced to appoint another Rangarajan committee. That states are very reluctant to revise their list of beneficiaries as per the SECC.
With 87% rural households and 67% urban possessing ration cards, the government is hoping that Aadhaar numbers will help it to weed out the bogus card holders, while cash subsidy transfers are expected to plug commodity leakages. So far, it has successfully implemented the direct transfer of Aadhaar-linked account subsidies to cooking gas consumers. The government plans to roll out similar schemes in Puducherry, Chandigarh and Dadra and Nagar Haveli by the year end. Raj Kamal Rao, Rajya Sabha TV. And more updates from across the country in Nationwide. CBI today registered another FIR in the Vyapam scam case against former officer on special duty of Madhya Pradesh, Governor Ram Naresh Yadav and 37 others. This is the 15th FIR linked to Vyapam scam filed by the CBI after Supreme Court handed over the probe to it early this month. The Health Ministry has decided to rush a team of experts to Assam to assist and advise the state health authorities to deal with the outbreak of Japanese encephalitis. It has claimed over 60 lives so far in the state. Health Minister JP Nadda held a review meeting on the crisis. He said that his ministry is closely monitoring the situation and additional help would be provided with immediate effect. The government has ordered a blocking of at least 40 web pages with inflammatory content relating to minorities. This includes posts on social media and also popular video sharing platforms. The order, which was issued last month, was issued to all internet service providers. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is aiming to sign a number of MOUs with the UK. She left for a 5-day visit on Sunday. Now, State Finance Minister Amit Mitra had said that the tour could pave way for agreements on health, education and other social sectors. Well, on to some international news. US President Barack Obama concluded his Kenya visit with encouraging words for his host. Obama said that Kenya was at crossroads, displaying enormous promise in the face of many challenges. But he warned that despite the country's political stability, tribal and ethnic divisions could play spoilsport.
Concluding his visit to Kenya, US President Barack Obama praised the country for its economic and political development, yet cautioning it on its road ahead. Obama delivered his closing speech at a stadium in Nairobi and said Kenya's progress has proved its potential and shown immense promise to build a greater future.
So I want to say, particularly to the young people here today, Kenya is on the move. Africa is on the move. You are poised to play a bigger role in this world as the shadows of the past are replaced by the light that you offer an increasingly interconnected world. And in the light of this new day, we have to learn to see ourselves in one another. We have to see that we are connected. Our fates are bound together. Because in the end, we're all part of one tribe, the human tribe.
After holding bilateral talks, President Obama and President Kenyatta presented a united front against terrorism. They agreed to work more closely in the battle against Somalia's Islamist group Al-Shabaab. Obama did warn of some challenges ahead. He said despite the country's political stability, tribal and ethnic divisions could threaten its future. He also cited corruption as a major obstacle to business across Africa. He urged Kenya to embrace diversity, a clear reference to gay rights. But the two presidents differed sharply in their positions on gay rights.
Kenya holds within it all that diversity, and with diversity sometimes comes difficulty. But I look to Kenya's future filled with hope. And I'm hopeful because of you, the people of Kenya, especially the young people.
For Kenyans today, the issue of gay rights is really a non-issue. We want to focus on other areas that are day-to-day living for our people.
Later on Sunday, President Obama will fly on to Ethiopia. He will be the first US president to visit the country, as well as the first US leader to address the 54-member African Union on Tuesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Turkey now, where pledging to drive out militants from Iraq, the country has launched airstrikes that hit Islamic State militants in Syria and Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK camps in Iraq. Now, Turkish fighter jets and ground forces struck in its campaign to help create a safe zone across northern Syria, but the offensive has irked the Kurds. The PKK has threatened to break off a 2-year-old ceasefire following Saturday's airstrikes. Kurdish militants killed 2 Turkish soldiers in a bombing, apparently retaliating for Ankara's crackdown. The US welcomed Turkey's increased focus and efforts to fight the Islamic State. Calling the PKK a terrorist organization, White House stressed that Turkey has the right to defend itself against attacks by Kurdish rebels.
The U.S., of course, recognizes the PKK specifically as a terrorist organization. So, again, Turkey has a right to take action related to terrorist targets, and we certainly, again, appreciate their interest in accelerating efforts against ISIL.
And for more international stories, here is Global Buzz. Saudi-led coalition forces announced a 5-day humanitarian ceasefire in Yemen starting Sunday evening, following a request by exiled President Mansour Hadi. A Saudi-led Arab coalition has been bombing the Houthi militia and army forces loyal to former President Abdullah Saleh since March, aiming to restore the country's exiled government. China successfully launched 2 more satellites, adding to the 17 already in orbit. Launched from the Xiaochang Satellite Launch Center in the China's southwestern Sichuan province, the 2 satellites were the 18th and 19th for the Beidou navigation satellite system, which is China's homegrown navigation system. Cricketer turned politician Imran Khan says that he accepts the verdict of a judicial commission set up to look into the allegations of rigging in the 2013 general elections in Pakistan. But he also regretted that the commission left its work incomplete. He demanded that the members of Election Commission resign because the report exposed the ineligibility of the Election Commission. US presidential candidate Hillary Clinton says that she did not use a private email account to send or receive classified information while she was the Secretary of State. The email controversy has dogged Clinton's bid for the presidency, fueling worries that the frontrunner for the Democratic nomination has tried to sidestep transparency and record-keeping laws. And we'll take another very short break. Up next, we'll get to all the sports news. FIFA sets the ball rolling for World Cup 2018 in Russia, announces a schedule to qualify for the finals.
आजादी के बाद कैसे बदला परिवेश, कैसे बनी संसद, कैसे उठा देश।
When the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
कौन थे वो लोग जो दे गए हमको शानदार विरासत, लोकतंत्र की मजबूत इमारत, राज्यसभा टेलीविजन।
And all the sports news now. Well, the stage is set for FIFA World Cup 2018 in Russia. FIFA President Sepp Blatter and Russian President Vladimir Putin took center stage in St. Petersburg to release the preliminary draw. A total of 141 countries will be vying for the 31 slots available. Host Russia gets an automatic berth as one of the 32 World Cup teams. The teams were divided in 5 zones. Defending champions Germany's World Cup defence will start with a matchup against Northern Ireland in the European Zone Group C. Argentina, currently on top of the world rankings, will take on Ecuador to kick things off. 2010 world champions Spain are being pitted against Italy, and one of the marquee matchups of the preliminary draw is Chile versus Brazil. Only the group winners will automatically advance to the finals.
It's bringing people together. It is entertainment. It is emotion. Football inspires. They will be met with warmth, friendship, and real Russian hospitality.
And more sporting action in Sports Beat. Chelsea bounced back from their shock loss to New York Red Bulls by defeating Paris Saint-Germain in the International Champions Cup. Zlatan Ibrahimovic put the French champions ahead, but Mosses equalized for the Blues as the match finished 1-1 in normal time. In the penalty shootout, Blues goalkeeper made 2 saves before thumping home the winning penalty as Premier League champions won 6-5. In another match, Wayne Rooney, Jesse Lingard and Adnan Januyaz scored for Manchester United as they beat Champions League and La Liga champion Barcelona 3-1. Rafinha scored the consolation goal for the Catalans. United have a 100% record from their 3 US tour games and will play their final game against Paris Saint-Germain in Chicago on 29th of July. 14-time Grand Slam winner Rafael Nadal will take on countryman Fernando Verdasco in the first round of Hamburg Open. The Spaniard had struggled this season, slipping to number 10 in the world rankings. His decision of playing on clay ahead of the US Open has surprised many. Nadal suffered only the second career loss at Roland Garros and a second-round exit at Wimbledon this year. Well, that's it from me and my team in this edition of News Tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Good night.